One of the things that makes the way we look at brand innovation pretty unique here at ThrivePlan is that we bring the 5 principles of a tech startup to big brand innovation. We work with lots of tech startups, we sit on boards, we formally mentor them, and in doing that work we've learned that there really are 5 principles that a challenger uses in that space, sometimes unknowingly, but they're trying to find ways, without a lot of capital, without a lot of resources, to break through, change behavior, inspire totally new ways of thinking for consumers. And nary those two shall meet, big brands and tech startup. So where we're able to kind of bring those principles into the big brand world is where there's some real unique perspective and real value to be gained. So as I say, we've codified these 5 principles, the first of which we call find weak ties. And the principle of weak ties is, if you look at something like Facebook, what a lot of these tech startups are looking for is this coveted network effect. So, you've got the individual and you've got these spokes. And you make ties to other people that then make ties to more people still. Call it exponential growth, call it whatever you like. That's what's known as the network effect. And what makes it interesting, going with the Facebook analogy, is that not only are you networked with these people are not all your best friends. There's 100 or 500 or whatever, that you've got what are called weak ties to. Meaning, you may have a weak tie to someone that's due to a hobby or through a friend of a friend, and then where it starts to get even more interesting is they've got weak ties to one another. So, they may know each other via being in your network in other ways. It's kind of the 6 degrees of separation mentality. So cut to big brands. What makes that really interesting for us is when we start to assess a situation, typically as a CPG brand, for example, you'd look at your category and say, we compete in this aisle, we compete in this frame of reference, we trade dollars with X, here are our big competitors. But if you flip it over and look from the consumer lens, it's all about these weak ties. They don't have a one-to-one relationship with your brand. Your brand fits in this this web of weak ties, and within that web for a given consumer, your brand interacts with all sorts of other things, all sorts of literal frames of reference, things that you compete dollar for dollar with, but also perceptual frames of reference. And sometimes you can't imagine the weak ties that your brand or your product or existing category might have with others that'll open all sorts of new perspective, again, through this consumer lens. So we use psychology, we use anthropology, we use a lot of experience and a few other techniques in our discovery phase of work to find weak ties in the consumer's mind that help find those new ways of looking at existing categories or existing channels that will unleash dramatic breakthrough opportunities. And it's often just a little toehold that you get from this type of assessment, but it can be very eye-opening. It's certainly a new perspective for most of the brands we work with to think like a scrappy tech startup.